Assalamu alaikum students. I'm here with another video, and this one is going to be on chapter 4, 5 and 6 of Things Fall Apart. As you guys know, the lecture that I'm going to share with you has been pre-recorded, and I'm going to post it in the video that I'm going to, like in this video it will be embedded in it, or uske baad I'm going to upload it on my YouTube channel. Bear in mind that your feedback is very important for me, and you need to tell me कि आपको ये help कर रहे हैं ये वाले course, ये वाले lectures कि नहीं कर रहे. So I'll be looking forward to that. Thank you. This is our second lecture on Things Fall Apart. So we will start with chapter 4. So in chapter 4, the opening paragraph is about how there is this a minor little, conflict between Okonko and this person who tries to give an opinion about something, and how Okonko snubs that man. Okay? And he insults him, and he asks him to be quiet because he doesn't want him to talk about important matters. Okay? So Okonko, basically, he was part of those men of titles in Umofia, which that he was in that upper circle, okay, which decided whatever was going to happen, whatever happened to the village, and whatever the fate of the village was, right? So they are discussing something very important, and this man, who doesn't really have a title or anything, he tries to give an opinion about something, and Okonko very harshly snubs him. Okay? So I want you to focus what this tells us about Okonko as a person, and this also tells us something about his society as well. But then there is a counter argument to this society as well, because we must also note how one of the elders rebukes Okonko upon dealing with that less successful man. Okay? So this also shows us that maybe the other people, they were not as meritocratic or as hierarchical in their tendencies or in their natures as Okonko was, because he thought that because he had achieved everything and he had achieved that status, it was he was entitled to do whatever he wanted with people who didn't have titles. ठीक है? So हम ये देखते हैं कि किस तरह से Okonko इस तरह से behave करता है. This presents an invitation for us to draw a line between Okonko's individual worldview and preferences and those of the society he belongs to. ठीक है? हमें ये नहीं देखना कि बिल्कुल Okonko को हम एक example बना के उसकी पूरी society को judge करें. So we have to know that there were different kinds of people in Umofia as well, who had different opinions. सिर्फ हर कोई Okonko जैसा नहीं था. ठीक है? हर कोई Okonko की तरह का इतना ज़्यादा extremist नहीं था. The oldest man present said sternly that those whose palm kernels were cracked for them by a benevolent spirit should not forget to be humble. Okay? So he basically told Okonko to be a bit humble and to not behave in such an arrogant manner. But this is a proverb. Okay? यहाँ पे ये वाला, this is a proverb. Okay? So there's a huge reputation of proverbs throughout the book, and I can give you an example on these proverbs too, that why Achebe talks about these proverbs so much. There are numerous research articles written, okay, on this particular topic, that why Achebe writes so many proverbs in Things Fall Apart. आप उसको पढ़ें, उसको देखें. What does this show about Achebe as a writer, what he is trying to establish, ठीक है, by incorporating so many proverbs. इसको अच्छी तरह से आप देख सकते हैं. The elder reminds Okonko not to be ungrateful for the blessings that he has been granted. However, Okonko begs to differ with this notion, but only inwardly. ठीक है? वो कहता है कि अब मुझे पता है कि मतलब He thinks that he's a self-made man, which he is, ठीक है? But it was really not true that Okonko's palm kernels had been cracked for him by a benevolent spirit. He had cracked them himself, यानी कि he was a self-made man. Anyone who knew his grim struggle against poverty and misfortune could not say he had been lucky. If ever a man deserved his success, that man was Okonko. At an early age, he had achieved fame as the greatest wrestler in all the land. This was not luck, ठीक है? तो वो Okonko दिल में सोचता है कि मेरे लिए कोई मेरे ऊपर ख़ास मेहरबानी तो नहीं हुई. I have actually achieved all this and I deserve to be this arrogant. ठीक है? उसका ये rationale है कि since he has achieved so many things, तो he can be rude to everyone around him. अक्सर हम लोगों का इंसान अक्सर ये इसी तरह की इंसान की नेचर होती है, right? Again यहाँ पे ची का जिक्र हुआ है, ठीक है? And that is basically personal luck, ठीक है? These people, they had a belief कि एक तो इंसान का there are so many gods that they worship, but then there is this one god that a person had as well, ठीक है? And that god basically determined the person's fate or the person's luck. So the G can be used to refer to the personal luck or the personal god that one has, ठीक है? तो ये भी एक Okonko का ये भी ख्याल था कि he is very successful because his personal god is very kind to him, or it may be the other way around. Okay, his personal god is very kind to him because he is very hardworking. What does this Igbo saying mean? While making slides, I have made some mistakes, so bear with me. Some typos, ठीक है? When a man says yes, his G says yes also, ठीक है? नहीं, I had सही बनाई थी मैंने अब गलत कर दिया, ठीक है? So this is the whole question. What does this it was saying when a man says yes, his G says yes also mean, ठीक है? तो इसका क्या मतलब है, ठीक है? तो that's what Okonko believes, क्योंकि उसने हार्ड वर्क इतना किया तो जाहिर है उसके पर्सनल गॉड ने उससे खुशी होना है, ठीक है? तो what kind of a character Kimi Fiona is, ठीक है? Note his relationship with Okonko's family, especially his son Navoy, ठीक है? You have to know that, okay? You also have to pay special focus on Okonko's relationship with the Kimi Fiona, ठीक है? Even Okonko himself became very fond of the boy. Inwardly, of course, Okonko never showed any emotion openly unless it be the emotion of anger, ठीक है? To show affection was a sign of weakness. The only thing worth demonstrating was strength. He therefore treated Kimi Fiona as he treated everybody else, with a heavy hand. But there was no doubt that he liked the boy. Sometimes when he went to big village meetings or communal ancestral feasts, he allowed Kimi Fiona to accompany him like a son, carrying his stool and his goatskin bag. And indeed, Kimi Fiona called him father. Now this is very important. Kimi Fiona के character के बारे में a few things that I would like to tell is that he was a very jolly kind of a character, a very amiable person, ठीक है? He was friendly with all of the kids at home, all of the wives at home, and he also was a very hardworking boy, ठीक है? मतलब he never shirked work. अगर आप नवोय का character देखेंगे ना तो नवोय is always trying to avoid work, ठीक है? और वो हमेशा डरा रहता है अपने बाप से. Kimi Fiona on the other hand, he was very happy about working, but at the same time he's very witty as well. तो he would tell stories to the little kids और सब लोगों का वो बहुत ज़्यादा favorite बन गया था. तो यहाँ पे ये लिखा हुआ है कि basically Okonko himself he also started loving the boy, although he never showed it. लेकिन फिर भी जाहिर है सबको पता था कि Kimi Fiona holds a very important place in Okonko's heart, और इतने ज़्यादा कि Okonko sometimes took him to all the major meetings in town as well. How does Okonko violate the week of peace? What are the consequences, ठीक है? Why is such a week celebrated and what does this celebration tell us about their culture, ठीक है? तो ये क्या, अच्छा हाँ, ये हमें बहुत ज़रूरी है देखना कि what is a week of peace, इसमें कौन को साहब क्या हरकत करते हैं, ठीक है, and why it is, why it is considered to be so sacred, what is the relationship between this week and the harvest of yams, right? ये सारी चीज़ें आपने देखनी हैं. उसके बाद वो क्या हरकत करता है, उसको खमियाजा क्या भुगतना पड़ता है और क्या. We live in peace with our fellows to honor our great goddess of the earth, without whose blessings our crops will not grow. You have committed a great evil. ठीक है, तो उसको क्या डांट पड़ती है, किससे डांट पड़ती है, क्यों, क्या होता है, वो सारा you have to read. The evil you have done can ruin the whole clan. The earth goddess whom you have insulted may refuse to give us her increase, and we shall all perish. अब देखिए यहाँ पे ना वो उसको बहुत डांट रहा होता है कि you have done a very serious crime और इसका हमें सबको consequences बर्दाश्त करने पड़ेंगे. कौन ये इससे बात कर रहा है, you have to know, you have to find it for yourself. ठीक है, तो this is very very important. A lot of foreshadowing is done here. ठीक है, ठीक है, और यहाँ पे हमें ये भी देखने को मिलता है कि these people, they discuss how the week of peace was celebrated before by the previous generations. ठीक है, और कौनको को क्या सज़ा मिली है और पहले लोगों को क्या सज़ा मिलती है. ठीक है, so we have to find all that. Note how कौनको prepares for the sowing of yams. ठीक है, also note how he dictates Navoy to work on them. He would stamp out the अच्छा, अब ये जैसे कि it was mentioned in the in chapter 3 as well. ठीक है, in the 3rd chapter, that वो बहुत ज़्यादा काम किया करता था कौन को, because he was a workaholic, he was a very ambitious man. हर वक्त काम करता रहता था, ठीक है, अपनी फसलों पे. तो he would force all his family members to work the same amount as well. ठीक है, तो यहाँ पे भी he is basically in this chapter he is preparing the yams and he's being very serious. और Navoy, he is not, obviously he's a little boy. ठीक है, वो 8-10 साल का है. So he is not, obviously he doesn't know how to work as well as his father. ठीक है, तो वो उसको गुस्से से डांट रहा भी होता है कि what are you doing, don't you know how to work, don't you know how to prepare yams. वो typical, वो ठीक है, बाप वाला उसका कैरेक्टर है. तो उसको ये डर लगता होता है कि why is my son being so lazy. तो वो क्या कहते हैं कि he would stamp out the disquieting signs of laziness which he thought he already saw in him. ठीक है, तो वो किस तरह से अपने बेटे को अपने जैसा बनाएगा, क्यों उसको लेजी नहीं होना चाहता, क्या उसका सारा है. You have to read it in detail and relate it to the plot. Coming to chapter 6, I think I didn't mention where chapter 5 started, so you can see. ठीक है, हम chapter 6 पे आ जाते हैं. Okay, so chapter 6 में क्या होता है, the feast of the new yam. ठीक है, अच्छा, हमने ये देखना है, in the previous slide I have mentioned as well that why is oh I have missed a few slides. हाँ, description of the yam crop and why is it called the king of crops. ठीक है, आपने ये देखना है कि what significance does the yam crop hold for these people. ठीक है, क्या वजह है कि it's considered to be so important, right? So you can see why it is important in the African culture. ठीक है, another thing is Achebe role in the whole plot. आप ये देखिएगा कि Achebe tells all sorts of stories. ठीक है, he's a storyteller. ठीक है, तो he tells all sorts of stories to Navoy, और Navoy जो है वो different चीज़ें imagine कर रहा होता है, but at the same time उसका बाप पूरा करना चाह रहा होता है, ज़रा yam को ना अच्छी तरह से उसकी cultivate करना चाह रहा होता है. So the natural tendencies that Navoy has as a person, as a boy, and the kind of path that his father wants to take him, and how it conflicts with his personality, and why, like how important this conflict is and how disastrous it will prove to be later on. ठीक है, so coming to chapter 6, we have the feast of the new yam. ठीक है. अब यहाँ पे है कि उस फीस्ट में क्या होता है, व्हाई इज दिस फीस्ट celebrated. अच्छा आप ये देखिए कि in this novel there are so many customs and so many traditions that we get to know about Umofian society, ठीक है, और Igbo society. तो एक तो हमने वीक ऑफ पीस के बारे में पढ़ा, फिर अभी देयर इज़ दिस फीस्ट ऑफ याम, ठीक है, ये है. तो व्हाट हैपन्स राइट when this feast was celebrated, how did people act when this was going on, and why is Okonko behaving so strangely. ठीक है, आप देखेंगे कि Okonko जो है ना वो मुंह बना के पूरा दिन फिरता रहता है, ठीक है, जब वो feast हो होती है. Everyone is so happy, everyone is just celebrating the crops, everyone is dancing, having fun, drinking wine and talking. But Okonko की क्या होता है, उसको गुस्सा आया होता है, ठीक है. तो आप देखेंगे कि उसको क्यों, why is he so angry, ठीक है, ये हमें we have to find that out. But somehow Okonko, sorry I haven't put quotation marks here, but somehow Okonko could never become as enthusiastic over feast as most people. He was a good eater and he could drink 1 or 2 fairly big gourds of palm wine, but he was always uncomfortable sitting around for days waiting for a feast or getting over it. He would be very much happier working on his farm, okay? Because we know that Okonko is a very ambitious man, okay? He likes to work all the time, he enjoys working, okay? He doesn't like partying, okay, like his father, ठीक है. ये भी देखें कि यहाँ पे he is so much different from his father. His father was happy, he was the happiest when people were free and they could sing together, they could dance together. Okonko on the other hand hates it so much, and that's probably why he hates it so much, क्योंकि it reminds him of his father, जिस तरह उसका बाप enjoy करता था सारी चीज़ें. So he is just irritated, ठीक है, and he is acting up he's acting up, and we get to see that वो इधर से उधर फिर रहा है कोई रीज़न ढूंढने के लिए कि उसको अपना गुस्सा निकाले. Then what happens, the event of beating his wife on a whim, ठीक है. फिर वो क्या करता है कि he sees that there is this banana plant and some of the leaves are taken away from it from the tree, ठीक है. तो he gets very angry and he says who has killed this banana plant, and he starts roaring, and वो तो उसकी बीवी ने ना उससे पत्ते थोड़े से उतारे होते हैं banana plant से. So he gets so angry and he says that you have killed the plant, और फिर वो उसको मारना शुरू कर देते हैं, ठीक है. So people are so exasperated, ठीक है. They are so like they don't know what is going on, because they know that the banana plant has not been killed, ठीक है. So only a few leaves have been taken away from it, ठीक है, for the preparation of food, and they don't know what is going on. लेकिन वो उसको मारना शुरू कर देता है, लोग हैरान परेशान हो जाते हैं, ठीक है. And then we get to see that some people they tell him to stop. और फिर क्या होता है कि वो when he has he has been relieved of his anger, he asks his son to bring him his gun. तो उसका बेटा उसको जाके गन लेके आता है. तो उसकी बीवी जिसको भी उसने मारा होता है, तो वो कहती है कि what's the use of asking for that gun when you know that you're not good at it, ठीक है. तो उसको मजाक उड़ाती है बेसिकली, उसको गुस्सा होता है अपने हस्बैंड पे. तो वो फिर से वो क्या करता है, he brings that gun and tries to shoot his wife, जो कि obviously मिस हो जाता है उसका निशाना. तो that's a very humorous kind of a event, ठीक है. It is humorous obviously, but it also shows what kind of a man he was. He was always angry, always using violence around people who were weaker than him, ठीक है. For example, his wives, obviously they were physically weaker than this person. तो वो मतलब उसको जो मौका मिलता था उसको मारना शुरू कर देता था, ठीक है, हर किसी को, अपने बच्चों को, अपनी बीवियों को. तो he is always because he was just afraid of failing like his father, ठीक है. तो जिस तरह के राइटर ने पहले मेंशन किया कि he has this fear of failure which dominated throughout his life, and these are the instances that show how in his everyday life he was dominated by this fear, ठीक है. तो हमेशा वो इस तरह के कोई ना कोई सीन्स क्रिएट करता रहता था. Then there is this wrestling match उसमें हमें पता चलता है कि you know there's this some wrestling match going on in the village and Ikwifi goes there. Now who is Ikwifi? What does she do? What is the importance that this character has? You all have to read it carefully, and then you can discuss it. Okay, so Azenma is also introduced. Who is Azenma? What importance does she have? Okay, and then we get to see how the different wives of Fukonko, they live together. There is also another word, if you when you will read the novel, you will see that the hut that Konko has is referred to as Obi. Okay, and each wife, he has I think 3 wives, and each wife has a different Obi, and they live there, and each wife has their own, she manages her own affairs individually and independently. Okay, and Konko, he has his separate Obi, and so we get to see how this polygamous relationship is maintained in this Igbo culture or Ibu culture, as we call it. तो यहाँ पे भी ये दिखाने का क्या मकसद है, how another side of this culture is depicted. This is very very important. All these questions you need to keep asking yourselves, ठीक है, while you're reading it. Okay, what's the significance of showing this? What's the significance of showing that? And that will lead you to better analysis. ठीक है, और फिर another thing that we get to see is, again we are brought back to the wrestling match. अच्छा, आप देखिए कि again and again wrestling would be referred to in this novel. ठीक है, उसकी significance क्या है? ठीक है, तो हमें ये देखना पड़ेगा. Who is Maduka and Obirika? ये दो और characters introduce होते हैं. Now first of all I would like to talk about this wrestling for a little while, and that is that this society, this Igbo society or Umofian society, it relied heavily on physical strength of people. Okay, because a person was considered to be successful or a stable, that person was considered to have a stable economic and political and social standing, who was physically very very strong. Okay, besides having obviously mental capabilities, but physical strength was given a lot of predominance. Why? Because this society, as you see, is still in its primary stages of evolution. Okay, you can see that it's not a very advanced society जिसमें बहुत ज़्यादा कोई political institutions नहीं हैं. यहाँ पे कोई, like, all the institutions are there, and the institution of justice is there, the institution of religion is there, the institution of education is there, right? But still all those institutions, they are present in modified forms. Okay, they are very different from the Western institutions that we get to hear about. Okay, लेकिन at the same time, these societies, they are still very very isolated, and they are still at the very preliminary kind of level. Okay, and these institutions, they are not as sophisticated as as they could be found in other Western societies or in other parts of the world. ठीक है, तो यहाँ पे a person's intellect was not given as much importance as a person who was able to profit the society through physical strength. ठीक है, जितना ज़्यादा आप फिजिकली स्ट्रॉन्ग होगे, उतने ज़्यादा आप फसलों में मतलब काम कर सकोगे, खेतों में काम कर सकोगे, उतना ज़्यादा प्रॉफिट आप अपनी सोसाइटी को दे सकते हो, राइट? सो इसलिए यहाँ पर अगर किसी बंदे को आपने जज करना है प्रॉपरली, तो यू हैव टू शो दैट यू आर फिजिकली वेरी वेरी स्ट्रॉन्ग. ठीक है. तो इसलिए दिस सोसाइटी इट फोकसेस अ लॉट ऑन दिस फिजिकल स्ट्रेंथ. आप अगर पिछले ज़माने का भी देख लें तो इन ग्रीक सोसाइटी, इन रोमन सोसाइटीज़, दोज पीपल ऑल्सो फोकस्ड अ लॉट ऑन फिजिकल स्ट्रेंथ. ठीक है. अगर आप प्लेटो को उठा के पढ़ें तो वो भी बार बार यही बात करता है कि फिजिकल स्ट्रेंथ शुड बी कल्टिवेटेड इन पीपल. ठीक है. एंड पोइट्स शुड बी बैनिश्ड बिकॉज दे प्रमोट द इमोशनल साइड ऑफ पीपल. दे प्रमोट और दे काइंड ऑफ they kind of instigate this emotional resistance in people, and they appeal to the emotional sides of people. ठीक है. So and emotional side was not considered, or intellectual or imaginative sides were not considered to be very very beneficial at that time. ठीक है. बैठ के बंदा अगर पूरा दिन ख्वाब बनाता रहेगा, बुनता रहेगा, तो वो सोसाइटी को क्या उसे कहते हैं, फ़ायदा पहुंचाएगा. ठीक है, उन दिनों में. तो इसलिए ये जो फिज़िकल स्ट्रेंथ होती थी उस टाइम पे बहुत ज़्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट समझी जाती थी. और क्योंकि एक वो सोसाइटी इज़ एट दैट स्टेज, ठीक है, इन इट्स डेवलपमेंट, तो उस टाइम पे रेसलिंग मैचेस को ऑब्वियसली इट वाज गिवन अ लॉट ऑफ सिग्निफिकेंस. राइट. Now, who is Maduka and Obirika? These two characters are newly introduced. Obirika is Konko's friend. Maduka is Obirika's son. So we have to see what's the importance of these characters. Obirika's character is very very important because Obirika's character is used as a foil to show a light on throw a light on kind of क्या उसे कहते हैं, Konko's character, right? So you have to see what kind of a character he is and how he's different from Konko. Another important thing that this chapter has is the Chino. ठीक है. वो जो है, who is she, what role does she play, ठीक है, in the novel, what kind of a woman she is and what is she doing in the wrestling match. That is what you have to see. और उसको पढ़ें और देखें. and what does this tell us about this society, एक society. और ये सारी जो चीज़ें मैं आपको कहती हूँ कि पढ़ें, उसका एक बहुत बड़ा मकसद होता है. ये सारे क्वेश्चंस आपको आ सकते हैं, या क्वेश्चंस जो मैं बनाऊँगी पेपर में वो उसके आंसर्स इन चीज़ों में हैं. राइट. सो डोंट जस्ट रिलाई ऑन दीज रिकॉर्डिंग्स के बस आप सुन लें और आपको ऐसा नहीं होगा. The questions that you will be asked will be much more complicated, right? And in order to produce a proper argument, you will have to give textual examples. ठीक है. उसको जब तक आप सही तरह से पढ़ेंगे नहीं, you will not be able to attempt those questions. So अच्छी तरह से पढ़ें. Best of luck, and I hope that you understand it. If you have any questions, you can ask me. Okay, Allah Hafiz.